Welcome to episode 66 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. This week, we'll be talking about non-attachment to outcome, as well as energy bubbles. But before we get to that, Kyra, how's it going this week?
Going well. Everything's just kind of going well. I'm getting extremely busy out of nowhere with work. So I love it. How are things on your end?
Pretty good. I'm in Chicago right now for the Thanksgiving holidays, so it's great to travel. Yeah, so I have a lot of stuff to talk about this week, actually. New examples, new things that I'm managing in my own mind, right? Because this is what we do. Every day we manage our minds, we learn about our minds, and we try different techniques. And so, and by the way, everybody watching, listening, make sure you watch or listen to the end so that you hear our power question of the day, which is an organically created question from each episode that we have. So, topic of the day, right? And all this is going to intertwine, but let's just take one small example at a time, okay? This last week, going to work, I get an email that is positive. It's congratulating me or kind of giving me praise, right? And it's like, nice job, Robert, on this project, whatever. And it's from a person very high up in the organization. Let's just say the CEO, right? Hypothetically speaking. So you get an email from this, high level person. And my initial reaction, I observed my reaction, right? Because you get an email like that and something inflates inside of you at the level of energy. And I would call this an energy bubble. Vadim Zeland from Reality Transurfing would probably call this excess potential, possibly if I'm applying principle correctly. But regardless, the feeling was this sort of almost an artificial, you know what the feeling is. You can put yourself in that example of getting some sort of praise from this very high level person, maybe a celebrity or something. And maybe a celebrity likes your Instagram photo, right? It kind of gives you this, it does feel good in a way, but it also feels a little bit artificial. And so what I noticed is as I was processing this email through my mind, right? And I caught myself sort of soaking up that validation and that praise. I couldn't help but I took this big inhale, and it popped that energy bubble. And I felt so much better because I felt like I released it rather than holding on to it like, oh man, I don't want this feeling to go away, or I hope I always get this praise. All of these sorts of things that go through the mind. I inhaled, exhaled, and I released it. And I felt liberated after that. What do you think about that example?
I really like that you brought this topic up because, well, not because, but everything that you said, I felt like it was such a good interpretation of what taking a breath in your daily life means. Because you're so right. I really connected and resonated with the fact when you were like, what did you say? So you were kind of like, oh, I hope I always get this praise and things like that, and you feel that energy bubble building. So I get that. And then you kind of take a breath and you're like, and you're like, all right, well, most of it is released. So I really like that in regard to, I guess, taking a daily breath in your everyday life and, releasing that energy that you built up, because it's it's so beautiful. You're making me just think right now. But so you're making me think about all of the different ways in which we receive information throughout our daily life. And it makes me think about those times when I don't know, maybe you're having a conversation with a friend and you guys have a really good conversation and you're super into it, but then you're also kind of in your head almost because there's so much energy going on in this conversation and you're not taking the proper breath to release. It's like there is so much energy bouncing up inside of you, and this energy bubble is filling, and you need to take a breath so you can process all of this, all of the energy that you're receiving. Does that hit with what you're speaking about? Excuse me.
Yeah, I love exactly how you picked up on this concept of the breath and how pivotal it is in releasing the energy. Because as I was thinking about other examples, another one that came to mind was like, when a kid is like in the car, like a 5-year-old, and they're in the back seat, and the car's not, let's say you're stuck in traffic, right? And the kid is like, make the car go, like, like, when are we gonna go, or something, right? And it's just, to me, that would be an example of an energy bubble, like an inflation or an excess potential, like because it's all that energy built up, and it's not going to do anything. All you have to do is like press on the gas pedal. That's what will move the car forward. But like the kid is saying like, make the car go, mom or dad, or right. And when I put myself in that position, if I think about like, I just really want this car to go, I notice I stop breathing. My breath stops. You feel that?
Yeah. I completely get you. That's exactly what I was talking about, when you get like all of that excess energy and you're like, why aren't I breathing?
Yeah, exactly. And one more example. Last night I was watching The Voice, these long drawn out episodes where they announce the results of the voting and everything, and like people get voted off. And so you got 10 people on stage, and they're like, the first person who is saved this round and will not be eliminated is, drum roll. And they draw this out for like minutes on end, right? And they're like, from group A, and then it's like the camera zooms in, and it's like, and then you watch them, and you watch, I was what I was doing, right, as a mind coach, I was analyzing their breath, because a lot of them would do this little technique thing. They would do, probably not intentionally, they would be doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was as they were awaiting the results to be read. So what is that technique, right? So that's an exhale, right? So it's not an inhale, but it's interesting. It's almost like they're forcing the exhale, right? It's almost like they're forcing their body to breathe when it doesn't want to breathe.
I get that. I totally saw that.
So that's another example of this excess potential, and how, I guess, as we're talking right now, I'm realizing that the breath is sort of the mechanism by which we can inflate or deflate our energy levels. What do you think?
I definitely agree. And I also wanted to touch base on the traffic example, because I actually notice this all the time when I'm driving. Like, I'm such a fast driver. Get out of my way, please, because I'm driving faster than you. I'm a better driver. Get out of my way. So when I drive, I think to myself, like, I'm sitting on the road, and if I'm in kind of like an angsty, like sort of baddish mood, and my energy is kind of tight, and like I want these people in front of me to move, they don't move. But like when I'm in a really good mood and there's no excess energy, I'm not holding on to anything. Like when the thoughts come up and I'm like, oh my God, I really want this person to go. Like, is this person going to go faster? But when I let go of that and I literally just think to myself, I'm on the road and I think to myself, I'm driving fast. That's all it is. I literally think to myself, I'm driving fast, and everybody moves out of my way. So I like that example about like the excess energy in the traffic, when you just want the car to move, but if you would just let go of the energy, it'll move. But and then the other example that you were talking about, how you saw that they were kind of going like, which is I love that way of breathing. And I caught myself doing that the other day when I had this gigantic bubble just like sort of building inside of me. And I just took like this big deep breath, but there was something about putting my lips in that specific, like, I think that when you put your lips so together in like an O, that the breath comes out a little bit more compacted maybe, and maybe like you can feel the breath leaving your lips a little bit more than as if you were to go you know, like that's great and everything, but you feel it more, I think, when you go like, because you really need to concentrate. Does that make sense? Do you get that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of intensifies the exhale from a
Yeah,
sensory point of view.
yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So interesting as I breathe in and out now. So all of this kind of ties in also to this concept of non-attachment to outcome, I think.
I have a good example. If you don't have anything at the moment.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right. So for non-attachment of outcome, most of the time, because it's something I've been working on, because I used to be so attached to the outcome, especially when I first got into manifesting. I was like, it has to be this. But does anybody relate? Do you relate to that, Robert?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. So nowadays when I practice non-attachment, I kind of just, I really tap into the feeling, which is a true, genuine feeling of, I genuinely do not fucking care what happens. I'm going to be super happy if it goes the way that I'm intending it to go. And I'm still going to be super happy if it doesn't go the way that I want it to go. Because all I can do is do my absolute best. Always make sure that I'm, you know, feeling as good as I can, you know, just tapping into me, just doing the best that I can. And so when I go in for something, whichever way it goes, I'm cool with it because I know that it was meant for me. And that helps me to release that big energy bubble and release the non-attached, like release the attachment to the outcome. And usually it helps my energy flow through, like, to and fro, in and out of me, through me, throughout like my nights and my endeavors, a lot more smoothly than if I were to be attached to the outcome.
Yeah, really well said. I'm glad you brought that up because that was exactly the direction I kind of wanted to go with the rest of the episode, which is, you know, we spent the first half so far talking about excess potential and energy bubbles. And I think how this connects to attachment to outcome is that when you're attached to the outcome and you're overly focused on it, that is an energy bubble. And because you get into hope and expectation and all these things that are outside of your control, just like with that American Idol or The Voice example, like I thought, wow, maybe this is cynical of me, but I thought how horrible that mainstream television is conditioning people to put a lot of attention on something that's not within their control. You know, like the voting already happened. Somebody is going home, right? And like, why draw it out? You should just announce it at the beginning of the show. Be like, okay, we got the results in. This is what it is. But they draw it out into this big episode where they put everyone on stage and then they're, you know, eliminating one by one, and like, and but the whole thing is like that they have no control over it. They have control over their performance. So a lot of the attention should be on the performance, not on this, you know, drum roll for the you know, for the results. It's just like, come on, you know, it conditions people to think too much about, again, those things outside the outcome.
I love that so much because I was thinking about something as you were speaking, but then that very last part really tied it all in for me about what you were getting at. And I love that, because you're completely right. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. Like, bro, like they just put on these amazing performances and all anybody cares about is the result. It's like you're skipping, you're trying to watch the end of the movie without watching the movie. And it's like you're not putting enough emphasis on the whole movie, and you're putting way too much emphasis on the results. And that's so true, and it's very conditioned. And then I also wanted to say that there's something about TV and movies. Let me know if this is on the same like topic or not, but there's something about TV and movies where it's like, you know, like they do the build up and everything. And it's kind of like when you're watching a TV show or a movie or anything, you get these energy bubbles that build up inside of you and then they pop, right? So it's like at some points in the movie, you're feeling like maybe your body is tense, you know, because there's something crazy happening. And then once they pop the energy bubble in the movie, your energy bubble is popped. So then you're like, now I'm chilling again. And I feel like that's literally how life is. Like it's all life is. It portrays in all of life, the energy bubbles building and popping and building and popping. That's what life is. We have our energy bubbles. We need to pop them. And I think that if we get comfortable going through life, aware that we have these energy bubbles and they pop, and these energy bubbles and they pop, then we can learn to somehow manage a healthy focus inside of us for directing ourselves on a path that we're not attached to the outcome. And yeah,
definitely agree. I think it's a very deep point, a very insightful point that that a lot of our life and movies kind of are a reflection of our daily experience, which is that rising action, climax, and then resolution that, you know, that they taught us in middle school English class, you know, this plot line for a story of like, you know,
it
goes up, rising action and climax and then resolution, you know. But that, I mean, it's like that is the drama of everyday human life. What are you dancing for?
I just feel like this is such a terrific topic.
It is, and I want to kind of make sure we address manifestation before we end today. I think manifestation is a topic that needs a lot of like explanation, and there's different techniques, right? I mean, it's every day I have goals, I write down my goals, and I'm trying to achieve certain things in life. And I find that part of the way I should go about achieving certain goals is by releasing them, or releasing the attachment to them.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's, let's say I'm going to my hockey game and, you know, maybe we've won 3 games in a row, and I could go into this game with a lot of excess potential and expectation and think, ooh, we're going to get our 4th win, or, ooh, I really want that 4th win. Well, totally, you know, irrespective of, well, who's the other team we're playing? Are they some amazing team that just got knocked down from a higher division and they're more skilled than us? Do we have maybe 3 players that are out of town and they're like our best goal scorers? Like, why have all this excess potential of like, oh yeah, we better get our 4th win tonight? Like, it's more important to focus on the execution of the skills with total disregard almost to the outcome. It's almost like a change in focus, you know, because when I was young and I was playing basketball with my cousin, one day he came back from basketball camp and he told me this trick, which is you don't shoot for the hoop, you shoot for a spot 6 inches above the hoop. So that's where you aim the basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great metaphor for going for your manifestations. Let's say you're in a parked car and you have space in front of you to move. Kid in the back is yelling, I want to move, right? You don't move the car by focusing on that road. You focus on the gas pedal, and you just press lightly on the gas pedal and the car will move. And so it's the difference between focusing on like, what's this outcome I want versus what's the action step. What's the gas pedal? Like that's a power question for any goal that you're trying to achieve or manifest. What is the gas pedal of that goal? Because you could be focusing on, oh, I want to make $1 million, or oh, I want this, or I want that result. I want a, healthy romantic relationship or something. You don't just sit around and like visualize it and that's all. You have to ask, what's the gas pedal in this example, right? What is the step that I have to do? What's the application? Where do I apply the effort? And sometimes maybe it's not significant. Maybe it's a small step, but maybe you just take a little action and it does wonders for the manifestation, versus if you just sit around and kind of simmer in your excess potential of, oh, I want this so bad. It would be so great if this could happen. Why doesn't it ever happen to me? All of these excess energies. What if we just trade the excess energy for a simple action, taking action? Wouldn't that do more for the manifestation?
100%, yes. And I think it's a lot about being focused on the task at hand. Like it's great to have your target in mind, for sure, but you have to understand when you're manifesting that there are so many other worldly things that can come into play and fuck everything up. And when that happens, you don't change your target. It was just something that happened. And when you're going through those motions to get to your target, it's I'm trying to I'm trying to think, like sometimes maybe I'll be doing a brain dump and I don't necessarily have like a desired outcome. I'm kind of just dumping because I want to dump, and I focus on dumping all the words and the phrases and all the ideas, etc., going on in my mind, and I dump them, and then the outcome is usually pretty damn good. Maybe a new idea comes into my head or like something like that. So it's like I'm not necessarily focused so much on the outcome. I'm focused on doing the work and knowing that I'm just doing the work, and whatever outcome comes from it comes. But chances are it's going to be good or turn into something good, because I'm a magnet for all things good, and I'm innately fucking inevitably evolutioning. I obviously can't talk, but
What was the last word you said?
evolutioning.
All right. I'm going to click add to dictionary on that one. So I think the principle for me today, like what I'm going to focus on as I go through my day today, is really just relaxing and staying with a phrase I've used before in these episodes, zero inflation living, or zero inflation psychology, where I'm just sort of taking reality as it is. There's so much to say about this. Like I liked kind of how you went through everything that you just talked about, the process that you described. It's very, to me, it matches up with like what I've experienced with sort of removing that excess potential, right? When there's a lot outside your control and things pop up randomly, but how do I want to explain this? There's this combination of, because the relaxation doesn't mean doing nothing. So you're still sort of taking action, but it's almost in this childlike, no expectations way of sort of, let's see what the universe gives me back, and then I'll do, but it's this nice feeling of like the zero expectation. That's sort of the feeling, but I don't know. I'm trying to piece this together. Maybe you have a better way of explaining it.
Like the relaxation is like relaxation, but it's like going after things kind of like a child, because when you're relaxing, you're still doing things and you're still using your brain capacity, but you're relaxing. So it's like, it's almost like you're in this relaxed state where it's kind of like, I am going to do whatever I want, and I don't really care what happens at all. I just don't care because I'm a child and I can do whatever I want at any time and I'm happy. And I feel like that's really like a child though. And I feel like, you know, when a child is like super happy and like they come up to you and they're like, hey, look at this. And I'm like, wow, man, that's cool as fuck. Thank you for showing me this, you know, but they're so excited to come up and show you this thing. They don't care what you're doing. They're like, I just want to show you this, or I just want to talk to you about this. And I feel like it's the same thing that happens at festivals. When you go to a festival and you see somebody and like, I have a kiss of a pair of purple lips on my ass, you know? So maybe I see a girl at a festival with purple lips on her ass, right? So I go up, not a second thought, I go up, I smack her ass and I go, hey, we got the same tattoo, you know? And that whole time that I am in that energy of excitement and that I found somebody with the same tattoo, that I'm not thinking about the outcome. I really don't care what happens. And since my energy when it hits her is so pure, chances are she's either going to think I'm an absolute lunatic and be like, girl, don't touch my ass. And I'm going to be like, shit, my bad, dude. Or she's going to be like, yeah, like the same thing, you know, but either way, it really doesn't matter because I don't care for the outcome. I didn't do it for the outcome. I did it because it made me feel good.
Right. That was really deep what you said there. And so much,
Good.
so much. It's so true though, that your intention was pure. And you were fully in the present with zero expectation, because it would have been very different had you gone up to that girl and in your mind, if in your mind was an expectation of like, I'm going to slap her on the behind, and I really hope that she has this positive reaction to it and blah, blah, blah. Like it's amazing, but I study the social dynamics, right? That's what this field is called. And when you do that, people can read like the intention in a fraction of a second. Like it takes zero time for people to read that. And you're right, you're going to get a different reaction because you're totally in the moment. You're totally just acting sort of just doing and not thinking. There's a great sort of type of skateboarding clip that you might see floating around Instagram and stuff, where someone will do a trick. I think I see this a lot with girls, but sometimes with guy skateboarders, where they do this trick and they land it. And when they land it, they're so surprised but grateful that they landed it. And they're like, wait, did I just do this? Like, wait, I did this. Yeah, I did it. I did, right? And they're so surprised, right? But look at what happened leading up to that. Zero expectation. They were just on pure execution. Like, how do I do this trick? Like, do I flick the board this way? How do I land, right? And they were not thinking. And I can say firsthand, as a longtime skateboarder and hockey player, almost every hockey goal I've scored, there was intention behind it, but not in the sense of like, I'm thinking like, okay, this is the right time in the game there, I should score my goal, and not this forethought, like complicated brain stuff. It's more primal almost, where I have this image in my mind of like, okay, the puck might come to me. If the puck comes to me, this is what I'm doing. I'm one-timing it in the net. Like I'm just holding that image, nothing else. And then when the puck comes to me exactly as I visualized, my body just does it. And a lot of times the bell will, like the siren will go off, goal scored. And then it kind of registers to me what I just did. Like my body just kind of did it, like following. So I guess the lesson of today is like the brain is a little overrated sometimes when it comes to really like living, like pure living, right?
I don't know if I understand it when you say overrated.
Like thinking is a little overrated.
Yes. I completely feel that energy lately. I'm like, listen, brain, mind, I love you, but like, I really want to get into my body right now. Like, I really just want to live. Like, can we just stop thinking for a little bit? Can we just act for a bit? Like, let's do that. So yes, yeah, I definitely agree. I think maybe we're opening the shell that the brain, the mind, is a little bit overrated. Might be right.
Yeah, what a turn of events in the Enter the Mind podcast series. Finally, episode 66, we come to the conclusion. You know what? The mind is not so great at. Oh, just kidding. It's no, it's still congruent with what we've been talking about up till now, but it's definitely, I can see us going in this direction, and we should talk in future episodes about this concept of quieting the mind, which is no new novel concept. I mean, it's already in meditation and stuff. How do you quiet the mind? But I think it's something that you and I should explore for sure. So wow, how many gold nuggets we came up with today. I think let's give our final thoughts looking at the time. We touched on a lot of truths, right? So the use of breath work in releasing potential energy or excess energy, non-attachment to outcome, and the importance of kind of execution without too much thought, and not overly focusing or thinking about the outcome, but rather just kind of getting into the body and just doing the actions, performing the actions, without a huge expectation from the universe. So those, and then the power question that I said was, what's the gas pedal for any goal you're trying to manifest? What is that action step that is quite simple? It's not overly complicated. You might have this big grandiose goal, but like, what is the gas pedal there that all you got to do is step on it and you will move forward closer to that goal? So those are my final thoughts. You?
I'm just going to repeat your question for the power question, because I think that's great. What is the gas pedal? I'll say one small group of thoughts for the ending, but I was talking to I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about that one simple action that sort of gets you to do. We were talking about how you can tell what somebody's thinking, what they do, what they think about themselves when they're alone, right by seeing them. Because I see you, this is who you are. You see me, this is who I am, right? And, you can see what that person is thinking. So if you can see what that person is thinking just by their appearance and how they come off and, etc., then if you think of a little goal, then you can think of what matches with that goal, right? Because, okay, somebody's going to look at you. I highly doubt that they think you wake up in the morning and eat a McDonald's cheeseburger every morning and then sit on the couch and like watch some TV and then like go and hang out and have some beers with your friends and smoke some cigarettes and like be scumbags or something, That's not you. That's not who you are. So if you're going for a target of, $1 billion in your business this year, is the target going to be, is your gas pedal going to be shying away, not doing the work, and not eating healthy and just overworking yourself? No, that's not going to be your gas pedal, because when you look at your target, that is not the target. That is not what matches with that target. So when you look at the target, it's almost quite easy. And like Robert said, very simple to just take a look at the action steps that you need to take and find your gas pedal. So I hope that that little explanation helped you better grasp as well the simplicity of finding your gas pedal.
So much good stuff today in today's episode. If this was helpful to any of you, then please show your love by hitting the like button and sharing this with family and friends. And with that, we'll be back next week with episode 67, expanding on this understanding of this interesting little thing called the mind. So we'll see you then. Thank you for watching.